everyone, and welcome to this edition of GroupTalk, where we'll be learning about email productivity using FewClix. Today's host is Ravin Kaur from Synaptress. He is their marketing director. So without further ado, let's get started.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ravin, and I manage marketing operations at Synaptress. So let's talk about enterprise email. Now, I'm not sure how many of us realize this, and this was a couple of years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, when we began on this journey. This was kind of a revelation to us at Synaptress too. It is the most ubiquitous business application used, and it is quite obvious. And sometimes, many enterprise CIOs do not realize it. But users spend more time with their email than with any other enterprise application. Even in environments where you have enterprise resource planning applications and users who are using applications like that all the time, email tends to be more used than even these. And there have been many studies by many IT research firms on the subject. And I'm just going to pick one of these examples. Here is the email statistics report that was done in 2009 by the Radicati Group, and I'm just picking two quick data points from that report. The first is that 25% of the time that employees spend, of their day, employees spend with email, and in comparison with other common activities in the enterprise, whether it's meetings or phone conversations, this tends to be almost 2 to 3 times the time that users spend on anything else. And in addition to that, these folks also polled all of their respondents and collected data on how many messages do users deal with every day. And in 2009, this was 92. And they estimated, based on past historical data, that this would grow more than 2 times on an average to 187 messages by 2013. So we are already halfway to 2013, and this is basically one of the biggest problems that enterprises are having to face today. And what this gives us is a unique business opportunity, especially for IT organizations and CIOs, to significantly improve the productivity of their enterprise. And what's obvious is that even very small improvements in the way end users work with their email is likely to impact enterprise productivity in a very, very significant way. And very, very few other technologies can cause this kind of an impact. A quick example, and I'm going to elaborate on this a little later on, but just to throw a data point at you folks, if you consider a mid-sized enterprise with about 1,000 email users, and this enterprise achieves saving of about 2%, what I mean is 2%. What I mean when I say 2% is roughly 8 hours into 60 minutes, 480 minutes a day. If they save around about 10 minutes a day, the organization will save over $1 million in the year. And that's a very, very interesting data point. So that leads us to a very interesting paradox, right? How do you help users reduce the time they spend with email while getting more done? And that's the question we're going to try to answer today. Now, before I go to my next slide, a bit of history that will hopefully help qualify us to talk about this. At Synaptress, our information management journey began 12 years ago in 1999. And we started off being a company that was very focused on helping end users manage their information better, have easier access to it, have the ability to modify the way they look at it, have the ability to interpret it, have the ability to analyze it, and basically make better business decisions. And this journey began in 1999 with the release of our first solution for Lotus Notes applications. And since then, Synaptress has been the market-leading player in this space, and we have added over 2,500 customers globally during this time. Now, our email productivity journey specifically began around the middle of 2008. And this was primarily driven by the need that came from our customers, and a lot of them came up and said, we like what you do with applications, and we do have similar issues with email. Do you have something that will help us with email? Right? So we basically unveiled the first email productivity concept solution in January 2009, and that was done at Lotus Sphere, and it won the Lotus CTO Innovation Award that year, which was very interesting. Then this was followed by more development and market interactions, primarily with our large customer base in the middle of 2009. And in September 2009, we launched our private beta. We put together a bunch of about 100 users from across different geographies and demographies. Basically, we wanted to understand behavior with email in the enterprise and what the pain points are. And we gained a lot of very valuable data from these users. And that was primarily the base for some of the functionality that you're going to be seeing in a while. So we asked these users, right? So apart from the time that you spend with your email primarily, and this is what most of us do, is reading emails, responding to them. We asked them, what else do you spend time on? That was a very important question. And how much time do you spend? And there were a variety of responses depending on the user profile. And I've kind of put together here the top 3 responses. And these are the top 3 pain areas, and I'm sure all of us can identify with these. The first is search, right? Finding email messages. We are all the time, irrespective even of our email client, whether it's Lotus Notes or Microsoft Exchange or any of the popular web mail clients that you have today, we spend a lot of time looking for email, right? That is because a lot of the information that we receive via email, and we constantly keep going back to it as a data repository almost, and looking for information, attachments, and so on. The second area, and of course our users did not define this as prioritization. Prioritization is our term, but let me explain, right? The 2 primary activities that involve prioritization of email, A, is locating emails that need attention, right? So we aren't all the time living in our email, we aren't all the time looking at it, we do other things, but whenever we come back to our email, we have a bunch of new unread email messages. The behavior that we exhibit is to try and locate the most important ones first, right, and then get to the less important ones later. Also, going back to the point that I made about information and data sitting in email, right, we keep going back to our email, right, identifying messages that contain information that's relevant to a task that we're doing, that's relevant to a meeting that we're going to, that's relevant to whatever activity that we are involved in. Right? And the third is, of course, organization. And again, not very surprising, right? We all spend time creating folders, creating mail rules, moving messages back and forth. And also because of the restriction in most enterprises in terms of the availability of storage space on the server and email quotas for users, we all use archives and keep archiving emails so that we have the ability to continue to send and receive email messages. Right? So these are the top 3 pain areas. And the answer that we came up with is FewClix, and we basically called it a unified email productivity application for Lotus Notes users. Right? Unified because it's completely integrated into the Lotus Notes client. It is seamless with the way users use email, and which is where we also got the name Unity from, and FewClix, because most everything that users need, we believe, they should be able to get to in a few clicks. The primary objective being that we should be able to help users save at least 15 minutes every day. And I'm going to focus again on these three pain areas: search, prioritization, and organization, as I switch to my demonstration. Now, the mail client that I'm showing you is, of course, not my mail client. It's the mailbox that we put together to demonstrate the product. And it basically represents about 60 to 70% of the market. It has about 12,000 emails in it, about 1,500 emails in the inbox. And like you can see here on the left, I have folders, I have archives, and all the usual stuff. Okay. So before I begin the demo, I'd like to do my second poll. What you're seeing here, the FewClix Unity product, that sits right inside my Notes client like this. This product is basically supports the 852 client and upwards, and all the 853 code drops that we have now. But not to worry, we have a solution for everybody. So those who are on an older version of Notes, we would, of course, encourage you to upgrade to 852, especially if you are already on 850 or 851. But in case you are on a 7.x or a 6.x release, we actually have a product or a variant that's called FewClix Retro. And that's very, very similar to FewClix Unity, except for the fact that it opens up as a tab like you now see. So it isn't integrated into the mailbox, but it is definitely completely integrated into the email client itself, and that's FewClix Retro, the tab that you're looking at right here. Right? So I'm going to switch back to my mailbox, and so let me give you a quick overview of how FewClix Unity addresses these pain points that we discussed. All right. So I'm going to be using very common everyday examples that hopefully most of us can relate to. Right. Let me begin with search. And the nice thing about Unity is that it's very easy to use and hence very, very easy to demonstrate. So let me assume, for example, that one of my colleagues, so I'm Jack Burns, as you can see here on the top left, right? One of my colleagues, Maya, calls me up or pings me on my instant message client and says, "Hey, Jack, I sent you the spreadsheet a few days back, and I haven't received a response from you. Can you quickly look at it and respond, because I need to get back and wrap up that deliverable." So what we would normally do, or what I would do in my Notes client, is basically to sort, by the who column, and then type in Maya. All of us do this many times a day, I'm sure, and then scroll down, look for these little attachment paperclip icons that you see here. Right, and then, okay, open that one up. No, that's not it. That's a document. Let me keep going. Keep scrolling, right, till I kind of get to the next attachment. Yeah, that's a spreadsheet. Maybe that's it. No, that's not it. And keep doing that. Right. Now, that is going to take 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on how many email messages I have from Maya, how many attachments I have from her in my email, and how many of those are spreadsheets, right? And sometimes it can take much longer. Here is what I'm going to do in FewClix Unity. I'm just going to go to my sender column here, type in Maya, hit my enter key. If you notice on the top left, FewClix is